So I wanted to show you a cluster for the review essay. So, as you know, for the cluster, we put our main thing in the middle. So here is what you're reviewing would be here. Then you're going to branch it off into the three main points, ideas. The first one being that judgment, the audience. Okay, so then you can break that down further. So for example, maybe like an age group or a gender, specific type of person. Then you'll come over here for the reasons evaluating because you're recommending it. Maybe it's valuable, useful. So there's some kind of reasoning behind that. And then, of course, the biggest part is going to be that criteria and then the evidence, which the criteria being like the pros and cons, the good and bad, and then the useful. And then the evidence is going to be where you break it down. So criteria and evidence, here's the pros, and then here's the examples of why it's pros. And then, of course, not everything's going to be perfect. So maybe a con or two, maybe you only have one thing to say, one bad thing to say, and that's fine. But in this example, two. And then here's the examples of that to show the evidence. And then, of course, the usefulness. And then breaking that down on what exactly makes it useful. Usually the usefulness comes from the pros, so it kind of veers back to that. And then remember that overall conclusion is the overall observation that you're giving to the reader. Are you recommending this to them? Can they read this whole thing and say, yep, I understand why this would be useful for me or not? So there is your example of the cluster for the review essay.